everybody. Welcome back to Project Podcast. My name is Ira Bowman, and I'm excited. I have coming back today Michelle Traino. She is the founder and business owner for Career Pursuits. She is a career coach and resume writer, and I'm excited to have her back on the show. Michelle, welcome back.
Thanks, Ira. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. I was actually, as I was telling you in the green room, I was watching one of my recent podcasts and on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, and it rolled over to you, and I'm like, man, I got to have Michelle back. So I reached out to you, and here you are.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited. Now, you're in Seattle. You guys were hit pretty hard by this whole COVID-19 thing, weren't you?
We were kind of the epicenter for a while until I think New York's numbers skyrocketed.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it was Seattle, and then all of a sudden New York just like passed you guys by. Like that's not
right.
Not necessarily the attention you want anyways, right? But anyways, So today I'm going to ask you 3 more questions. They are all going to be COVID-19 centered because that is obviously what is on everybody's mind. But I was listening to your answer in the previous podcast, and some of those I'm like, man, those are perfect. So let's talk about this. Are you ready for your 3 new questions?
I'm ready.
There we go. The firing line is on. Question number 1, give us a strategy tip to help job seekers who are searching in this COVID-19. Like, what can they do to help them, find a job right now?
I think the best thing they can do is get really clear on where it is they want to go. I think now is a great time to get really intentional about the next role that you want to pursue, because that's going to help you with figuring out how do I write my resume to really point to all the keywords and phrases and to, really highlight the skills that are relevant to what they're trying to move to. So, as we're kind of in this limbo period of not knowing, I mean, some people unfortunately have been laid off, but there's others that have just been furloughed or just kind of waiting to see what happens once, the doors of the business open back up. But now's a great time to just really get clear on what it is that you want to do. And so that way, when you get around to, if you do need to then search for a job, you can be really focused and people will be able to see that in your LinkedIn profile and your resume showing that you've got the skills that you're looking to put to good use.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's easier to hit the target when you know what you're aiming at, right?
For sure.
So even in COVID-19, I mean, you gotta be intentional out there, people. So if you're not, right, get focused. Okay, question number 2, advice for people right now. I think one of the things that we can help them with, give them some advice for video interviews. It seems like the overwhelming majority of interviews right now are being done on camera. What can they do to help ace the interview?
I think making sure that you've tested your equipment before the time of the interview is hugely important. Making sure you've got all the stuff you need. If you've got a laptop, if you've got a webcam that's got high resolution, if you've got a microphone, if you don't have to have that, but if you do, it'll just help with sound quality. And then also, bringing your camera up to eye level. You see a lot of people that might just have it sitting on a table and it looks like they're looking down at their camera. And I always think that's just not the most flattering look. So if you can bring it up to your eye level and that and lighting is huge, because obviously if you don't have enough lighting, the image can come out kind of grainy, and then you want to eliminate as many distractions as possible for when the interviewer is looking at you, because you don't want them to be focusing on the fact that they're looking up your nose, or just that they can't see your entire face, or that you've got a mess that's kind of in the background. So all those are big things to look for when you're really trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do to prepare?
There's no doubt. In fact, I want to add to that just one more thing. If you can, try to look into the camera. I know it's distracting and you want to look at the screen and look like right now when I look over to my left, which is I think what your seat to your right, but when I look to my left, I am looking at you, but it looks like I'm not paying attention. It looks like I'm looking off. So be careful, like when you're taking notes or whatever you're doing, like if I put my head down to write, that's not necessarily the best. So one thing that I recommend is you do a practice run. Have one of your friends do a Zoom meeting. These things are free, right? You can do one-on-one Zooms for free. Practice, have them ask you some questions and then record it and then watch it back. right? Watch it back before you interview. And that way you'll know what other people are seeing. So I just think it's so important right now. A lot of people interview well in person, but they don't interview so well on camera when those bright lights are on. So love
Yeah,
it.
interviewing in front of a camera is an entirely different thing. So yeah, I think that's a great tip. Definitely record yourself and then watch it again and see
Yeah.
what
And
sticks out.
like, I don't have the world's best teeth. You have a nice smile, but I don't feel like I do. But either way, it's better when we are showing our teeth a little bit, right? Don't forget to smile. So
Absolutely.
you're trying to build rapport in these interviews as much as you're trying to communicate how well you would do at the job. Part of it is obviously the fit, right? The rapport is important. So
Yep.
great answers, my friend. Question number 3 to wrap this thing up. And you're a resume writing professional. You're a career coach, but you write a lot of resumes. What do you see as question number 3? What do you see as the biggest mistake people are making right now with the resumes? Is there anything that you can do, give them some advice to improve the resumes and help them out there?
Yeah, I think yeah, there's a few things I would say. Making sure that you're really highlighting achievements. A lot of people focus on just talking about this is what I did day to day, which it's important to include that because you want them to get an idea of the scope of your responsibility. But at the same time, you need to also include what you did to stand out. So having achievements, especially if you can include quantifiable ones
I
where
was just about
you
to say that.
saved, yeah,
I see
saved
people
money.
make claims without any quantifications. It's like, I could say I'm the best salesman in the world, but if I could show you some actual results, that's a good thing.
Absolutely. Anytime you can show where you've grown revenue or saved money or improved efficiency in processes, those are the things that you really want to try to highlight. But I recognize not everybody. I mean, if you're in sales, it's probably relatively easy to
Right.
highlight those numbers, but in
Absolutely.
other areas probably not as easy. But just anytime you can, yeah, make it so that's specific about what it was that you did. The more specific, the better.
Yeah. Or
Um,
maybe you've won some awards, or and even you're talking about quantifications, you could talk about certifications too. Like maybe they've done continuing ed. It's like, hey, while I was here, I was also continuing to improve myself. I think that speaks to it as well. So, you talked about quantification and achievements. So, sometimes just finishing a course is an achievement.
Absolutely. Anytime that you can show that you've taken the initiative to do self-development, I think that makes a difference and it looks great on a resume. It's a great thing to be able to point to.
Cool. I cut you off. So you tell me what other, so it was achievements and quantifications. I didn't mean to steal your thunder there. I just,
Oh, no, that's okay. I would say do pay attention a little bit to the design. I know there's a huge focus on making sure that resumes are ATS friendly, but
oh,
I actually promote trying to create a resume that's more appealing for the human eye to read because eventually the end goal is that it gets to a person and they're going to read it. And so you don't want it to just be this big block of text. You do want to have a decent amount of white space and have it so that things are kind of I suggest putting things in chunks so it's easier to skim, easier
yeah.
to see. If you want to call out something like certifications, certainly if you're in tech, those are always important. And so don't have everything just lumped all together because that's how things kind of get lost. They'll never see your achievements if it's just in this gigantic block. But yeah, try to keep it so that it's something you can scan and it's actually attractive looking, so that people will want to read your
Yeah, I
resume.
think that's super important. You've got to consider both. It's got to get through the screen, so it's got to follow all the ATS rules. But also, like you said, eventually, if you do this right, a human being or two or three are going to read it, and you don't want it to look like gunk either, like an old computer script. So, I
Right.
I totally get what you're saying. Okay, so our guests can still find you. The people that are watching this show can still find you at careerpursuits.com. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So I'm going to put that, hopefully that's flashing on the screen right now. You guys see that underneath. Michelle, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure.